you talk a lot about time blocking, business management. That's kind of the journey I'm on because
you are a mother, you are homeschooling.
Yeah. Those are all things that we do too. Yes. But like, I don't feel like I'm efficient
but also
at it.
help us. All the things.
Go.
I've done it all. I have been a working mom, working outside of the home. I've been just a stay-at-home mom where I didn't have a business. And I've been a stay-at-home mom who runs a business, and none of it is easy. The key is...
Welcome to Under the Sun Podcast.
I'm Irene.
And I'm Ilea. We're so glad you're here. Grab a hot
or iced coffee and join us as we talk about everything under the sun.
Look at all of our mouths immediately are like,
I know. Are we all the same person or?
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. We have the wonderful Lizzy on again. Lizzy, feel free to like introduce yourself to the listeners who are maybe new to our podcast or didn't hear your original podcast. Kind of tell us like who you are and what you do.
Yeah, last time I was on, we talked like all things birth, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's what we covered. Yeah. So I call myself a doula, but right now I'm primarily doing birth education. So I'm a birth educator. I'm a mom. I homeschool my 3 kids. And that's it. Like that's all.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's it. So, we homeschool, and then I run my business online, which is primarily birth education. And I have a podcast too, where I talk about birth.
Yeah.
I love it.
We're so happy that you're here. And for anyone who hasn't listened to that other episode, please go back and listen to it. But for this one, we have to get updated on things in your life, because last time we talked to you, you lived in a communist regime.
We talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah. Yes,
we're trying to get out of California. God is so good. And he opened a door wide open for us after so many were like, shut, right? Like at one point we're in California, we're like, okay, is this where we're supposed to be? Like, are we supposed to be here? And so we start looking at houses and we like put it in offer, and then someone comes in with all cash. We like put it in offer somewhere else. And it's like, there's all these issues when we do the inspection. So it's like, okay, like we're just gonna have to be patient and see what happens. And my husband had applied for a job in Boise. And we were like, Boise, that would be amazing. Like that would be perfect. And we started like looking at houses. We're like, wow, we can actually buy a house there, not in California. And then he didn't get that job. Like it just ended up it was within his company, but it didn't work out. And we like had our hearts kind of like set on it, and it was like, dang, it's not that. And so just really having to like keep faith that like, okay, this is part of the plan. Like we're just waiting for the right spot. And now that's here. So another position opened up within my husband's company. And honestly, hindsight is always like, it's like, oh yeah, it was supposed to happen this way. Mm-hmm. The position is better. It doesn't snow here. We're close to the beach. Like there's all these great things. So we're in southern Texas right now. So we just moved. You can see there's like boxes behind me. I'm not even like completely unpacked, but we've been here for a little over a month, I think. So right before Thanksgiving, we got here. We love it. It feels like a weight has been lifted. I'm like, oh, this is like where I belong. Like it's really cool. Yeah.
I love that.
We're very happy.
So I was so excited when you announced that you were moving, because I think even at one point you had posted like a hint. You were posting hints about what's happening, and I was like, she's moving. I know she's moving. And then you posted that you were moving, and I was like, that was right. But
I had a lot of fun with that. I knew that moving was going to be a lot, and it was. And it happened really quick. Like this position opened up, and my husband's boss was like, let's get you out there tomorrow. And like he went out there and like met the guy and like toured the property. And then they did like open it up to interview other people. So we didn't hear back for like a couple of weeks. But then when we heard back, that was like a couple of weeks later. And then it was just like the next weekend, or maybe the next weekend, my husband flew out to look at houses. Like it was crazy fast. I didn't even come here until we moved. Like I didn't come out here and look at houses.
So you didn't see the house before you moved in?
Mm-mm. My husband did. I sent him. He flew out several times, and thank God, my husband is, I think, pickier than me. He's like, his mentality is like, if I'm going to buy something, it's going to be the best. like high quality. Like he always wants, so I knew I could trust him to like look at houses. I didn't have to like worry about that. And, you know, we FaceTimed and stuff like that. But it did happen really fast. I knew it was going to be a lot. So I was like, how can I, you know, my job is primarily social media. Mm-hmm. How can I like keep up when we have all this stuff going on? I'm just going to make moving the thing. And I'm just going to do, that's what all I'm going to talk about is moving.
It was so fun to follow along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I felt weird talking about just myself, because normally I just talk about like my offers and stuff like that. But I got a lot of good feedback. People are like, no, it was great. I love following on. So I'm like, oh, I guess I can talk about me more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun.
I found it easier that it's like I can promote our podcast, no problem, because it's like an entity that's separate than me. When it comes to my personal channel, I'm like, I'm a potato. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I could look at anybody else's and be like, yeah, you need to do X, Y, and Z, post X amount of times. I don't know what it is. Like, I would not consider myself an insecure person, but like I have a hard time promoting myself. So I can totally connect to that. But but also I know that I enjoyed following it. Mm-hmm. Like I've also enjoyed following your color match. Yes. Like you getting your color match done. Tell us about that.
Okay, so hold on. Let's rewind though, because when I did that moving series, I was also doing like a 30-day content challenge. Mm-hmm. Or like post something every day for 30 days. And that like really forced me to just like throw something up, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like you already, Aaliyah said, you're like a perfectionist. You're like probably black and white. I'm like that too. I'm like, what is my content pillar? Like, what am I supposed to do? That's why it's so easy to post about the podcast. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I did that challenge and I posted more like fun stuff like that. And it actually grew my account, which was wild. I was like, well, that's weird. I thought this account was dead. So anyways, just less rules and more fun. And then it's just more fun and your creative juices are like flowing too. So that's my next series is the color, like me finding my colors.
Did you do it online or did you have a person come to you?
So I did it online. So I have been obsessed with this ever since I heard about it. Mm-hmm. And they say you have to do it in person. Like I've talked to a few gals that are like House of Color, that franchise, you know, like you have to do it in person, which now that I've done it, I understand why they say that. Cause you have to be able to like control some things. So they want to be able to control the like fabrics that they're putting across. So it's the right colors that they can like analyze you against, and they need to be able to control the lighting. So I kind of understand why a lot of them say like we can't do it virtually, but I found this these two gals that run, that's what they do. They do them virtually, and going through the process, I can like, they were very individualized and like meticulous. I had to send my photos like 4 times because they were like, no, that's not the right light. Like, no. And then I had to like send them different times of day and like in different spots. And, you know, they were giving me pointers and tips, but my eye doesn't like see what they're seeing, you know? So it took a few tries, but that made me feel really confident in the results. Like they're making sure that they're getting out like the best quality results. Yeah. So I used they're called the Color Key, and they do virtual, and they have different like package levels. And I went and did the full meal deal, and they told me like what hair colors, what makeup, and you can even like add on, they'll like send you links to makeup and clothes and shopping, and
that's so fun.
And they were so fast. I did it. I bought it for myself for Christmas, and I sent in my stuff, and then I had to, you know, do it over multiple times, and there was a holiday in there, and they got it back to me like right after the holiday. So
that's awesome.
So what are you?
I am a warm autumn.
Okay.
How does that work with your branding?
It's laughable because it doesn't work at all. And, you know, it's so funny because a lot of like birth accounts are warm autumn in their coloring. Like it's very like, calming. You know, natural. Yeah. And calming and earthy and Mother Nature. And I specifically like picked branding and like messaging that went against that so I can stand out.
Yeah, and it works like, though.
Yeah. It does work. And my personality is like, I'm loud and I'm bold and I'm sassy. And that's kind of like the way I teach, right? And the way I teach my moms that are going into the hospital, like you have to be loud and sassy or you're just going to get steamrolled. And so I picked loud and sassy colors. Those are not my colors. So half of my closet, I pick my favorite colors. I'm like, ooh, give me a hot pink.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a lavender, that like really pale lavender that's in right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
But here's the thing. Is that the color? It's like, you just posted, you're like, I don't think this is in my color palette. I thought it looked good on you.
I did too.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, it looks
And I've never thought, like, I've never had the thought of like, when seeing any of your content or like like usually your text is color matched to your brand.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought like, that doesn't match her. Like that's never come to mind.
That's true.
So,
and I've never thought
just
that
so you know,
either.
I think it looks
And
lovely.
I guess they say that, like, it doesn't mean you can't wear certain colors. It's just certain colors will enhance your natural features.
Right.
Okay.
Like, Leah, I bet you are a warm autumn too, because you have like the red hair and the green. Your eyes are green or blue?
Green.
Green, yeah. And
They do look blue in this light, though.
they do a little bit, yeah. They're like a very light.
I did it.
green.
This is TMI. I did a coffee enema and they make my eyes brighter. What? I did.
Wow.
I wasn't feeling good. So I
Yeah.
did a coffee enema. But like
Yeah,
they make
that's what they say is-
immediately makes my eyes brighter.
Yeah, but there's like the toxicity shows in your eyes, in your eye color.
immediately.
Well, and I have hazel eyes that are like, they like change, so sometimes they're more brown. And I swear, as a kid and a teen and a young adult, they were always more brown than green, and now they're more green.
Interesting.
Oh,
Because I think I have less, I'm not on hormonal birth control anymore. So there goes my green eyes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then
Well,
maybe
are you going to change?
if
Go
I
ahead,
wear my
sorry.
right colors, my eyes will look more green too.
Yeah. Interesting. So what hair color do they tell you to have? Because your hair color looks nice right now. And you're a hairstylist. So
Yeah,
like,
it looks great.
Yeah. So she said your natural color always is your best bet.
Yeah.
The hair colors are for like women who like dye their hair. She even said, because I'm gray, I'm like pretty gray. She said, even though your hair is turning gray, you still have warm hair, she told me. Which, I mean, you can see look at my ends. Look at this. I was like wanting to talk to a hairstylist about this. My hair is so warm on the ends and like dark on the top. It's so wild. I don't know.
I wonder if you're getting like mineral deposit. How's your water out there? Or has it been that? How's your water? How was your water?
I think where we used to live, well, I use the Berkey filter. They filter out all my minerals. I add some back in.
Okay.
I don't know.
but you don't use the Berkey for your hair to wash your hair, do you?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that meant like your hair washing water.
Oh, yeah. It's probably bad hard.
Because her tub, when she moved into this house, like every sink in this house was stained orange. I was like, ooh, it's a good thing you're a redhead because that's not coming out easily.
Yep.
Oh.
Or is it like,
interesting.
or is it that your hair was that color and now it's turning to gray and so that's just her old color?
No. So that's what I just got my hair cut, and she thought that this was like dyed,
Like old
like
growth,
old
yeah.
dyed hair. Yeah. But I don't know if you remember when I chopped all my hair off. That was, I cut out all the dyed hair. So
All the
this is
color.
all
Yeah.
natural.
Oh, okay.
But this really shows how warm my tone is because my
Yeah.
hair like fades to copper.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Just interesting.
I like it.
Thank you.
Okay,
So
so
she
are
did
you-
say like warm, like a warm brown. She did say blonde is not the best, but like if you did like a warm blonde and then like any like coppery red is good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because like that's what I want. I want to get it done.
I
do
want
too.
you to get it done. I want to get it done too, but
Well, but like I know it's gonna. I do have actually just pretty much the same colors. I have black, green, and oranges in my closet.
She told me I can't wear black. Well, you can wear anything you want, right? But
Yeah.
right.
no black, no white, no gray.
Why? I guess I thought black was
get it.
universal.
That's what.
No.
No. She said
it not?
black is too harsh for my coloring. And she's like, it just is like, hi, I'm wearing a black shirt. Like, it's just like the black shirt is there. But it's too harsh because my coloring is like all very, like I don't have a lot of contrast in my face and skin and hair and eyes. And then the shirt's too much contrast.
Interesting. Oh, it's so fat. I want to know. I want to know.
I know.
everything.
Did you know that this was a thing like back in the 70s, 80s, where like women were obsessed with getting their color analysis done?
Yes. I saw someone sharing about that and they shared like the book from the 80s that all these women were like learning how to do it with, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the
And it's coming back. I feel like it's so popular.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like, why is it that like for like my husband, I will dress up and look so nice. And he's like, yeah, you look nice. And then like I'm in like my lazy kind of like warm orange pajamas. And he's like, you look so pretty. I'm like, why? I have no makeup on.
Yeah.
My hair is so frizzy right now. I don't know why you're even still
Yep.
married to me. But like,
It's the same with like you have clothes where you're just like, I thought this was cute, but it's just meh. Like I always like maybe it's not your color.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we should just do it. That's another thing where we were just talking right before you popped on and how she's like, I'll just figure out how to do it. I was like, no, splurge on yourself.
Well, see, because I saw a hack where you could do it with ChatGPT. And I was like, I have, Photoshop, we can do the hex code and get all the colors and stuff.
I say
You could.
splurge.
Well, I would be curious to compare and contrast. Like maybe we do the hex code through ChatGPT and then see what the color analysis does.
Yeah, okay, that's
going through her process of doing it really showed me that like I couldn't have done it myself. Like just the wrong photos I was sending her. She's like, no, your face is washed out. This is not the right light. Like we want light more like this. And I had to do it so many times. Like I would be using that photo to do the hex code and it wouldn't be like,
you're
that's
right.
true.
showing my true color.
Yeah.
So was it you standing outside?
I ended up having to go outside to get it right.
Okay.
Yeah, I stood like in my, you need like indirect, you don't want direct sunlight, but I stood outside, but under my like over, building patio kind of area. And that was the winner.
Nice. Okay.
Just do it. Go do it.
Yeah. What if we, it's a business account.
Oh,
you're not going to hear a no from me.
Find someone in person and record it. And then it'll be
and it's all a write-off. Yeah.
It's a write-off. What's the guy from Schitt's Creek who's like, it's a write-off. Like, but a write-off to who? What do you like? Who's Yeah, my husband and I, whenever we would go on we would have a show or something in another state, and we'd go to PF Chang's and we would go business account. Yeah. It was always our we're going out of town, so we get some PF Chang's. But okay, I want to get into because you were obviously the unmedicated birth girly, and you specifically but you help moms who who want to give birth in the hospital, and you help them have an unmedicated. And that's a wonderful episode. People should go back. But I think today it would be great to focus on, you talk a lot about time blocking, business management. That's kind of the journey I'm on because
you are a mother, you are homeschooling, you
those
are
are
doing
all
a
things
business
that we do too.
Yes.
But I don't feel like I'm efficient
but also
at it.
help us.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to hit on your post about cycle, working with your cycle. So,
all right.
Go for it. All the
And
things.
go. Do you have brain fog? Are you lethargic? Do you have digestion issues? Do you not poop enough? Are you pooping too much? Do you have angry outbursts? Does your butthole itch? Irene, does your butthole itch? Don't answer that. Don't answer.
I'm going to answer.
Well, if your butthole itches, what does that mean?
Question. That means you have a worm.
Or many worms.
Lots of worms.
And I know what you're thinking. Worms. Are you kidding? That doesn't happen.
I've not left the country.
Yeah, it happens. Guys, you can go touch the soil in your front yard and get worms from there. Because
if you have pets, they lick you.
We're disgusting, honestly. And food, produce, if it's not cleaned properly or if it's grown and they're everywhere. Yeah. So most cultures cleanse once a quarter.
Yeah.
So
deworm themselves all the time.
You gotta deworm yourself, and we have the perfect brand for you.
Yes. Roger's Hood is where we get all of our parasite things from. She has this kit. It gives you everything you need. It has 3 tinctures. There are...
And heavy metals, too.
Yep, pulls heavy metals out. It's so great. Yeah. I did it. I'll just say it. I did it, and the very first day that I started the tinctures, an 8-inch tapeworm came out of my butt.
8 inch.
So... And... I mean, I have left the country on cruises, but it's all sanitary and everything's washed and they're there.
It's just life, and we have to just cleanse regularly. Yeah. So use our code UTSP10 and you won't regret it.
Okay, let's start with cycle syncing.
Okay.
Do either of you cycle sync at all? Well, do you do natural family planning? So you're already tracking your cycle.
Yeah.
And you already understand the phases of your cycle and all that.
Yeah.
Now you just have to sync your whole life to that, or at least your business. So right now is the worst time for me to be talking to you on this podcast.
Sorry.
But we're glad you're here.
Sorry about that.
To myself,
yeah, but your colors match, so you look fantastic.
Right. So okay, so that is a win and a loss. Even though, no, it's fine. But I'm still like really bad at like scheduling things. Like I'm really bad at looking ahead and like, seeing where I'm at in my cycle. So that's kind of a pain. So right now I'm like super late luteal. I'm going to start my cycle like in a minute, like any minute. Yeah. And at that point in your business, you're usually more like withdrawn and really like overwhelmed. I actually was feeling overwhelmed before I came in here and sat down. Like I was like, oh, we gotta get lunch going and we're gonna do this schedule thing. And then I had to be like, okay, let's just like, like bring it down a notch. Like there's nothing to be like frantic about. Like this is just a conversation with my two friends. Like this is fine. Also, I'm not used to like being on other podcasts, so that puts a little like,
or the only ones who harass you. Yeah, like come on a podcast.
Yeah. So bad timing, right? If you're doing like public speaking or you're being interviewed or you're gonna launch a new product or offer, you want to do that like when you're ovulating, when you're like on fire. Like, you know those days where you're like, man, I am a boss, I'm a queen, I did this, I did that, I did that. Like that's usually during your ovulatory window, right?
Yeah.
So like planning your business stuff according to that. And then like in the late luteal, that's really it. I feel like it's easy to run your business in the follicular and the ovulatory because it's just kind of like how everyone runs their business. The hard part is like pulling it back and not beating yourself up in the late luteal phase.
Yeah.
And that's because that's when it's like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. And this is so hard. And why did I decide to run a business? And I can't do this. And I don't know how.
Yeah.
And like
me every time.
Yeah. And like, it can be so detrimental if you don't know that, because then you just dig yourself deeper into this, like, wow,
why am I this way?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm stupid. Like I would sometimes like sit down to script a podcast episode or something. And I'd be like words are just not coming to my brain. Yeah. I just don't have anything to talk about. I'm done. I've tapped out. Like I've done all the podcasts I could ever do ever. How can I keep going? And I mean, before I really learned about cycle syncing and got just better at tuning like inwards and identifying like my needs and where I'm at and how I'm feeling, and just instead of pushing past that, like actually listening to it, before I would get to that stage and then I would be like in a rut until the next late luteal, because I didn't like take the time to be like, oh, okay, it's late luteal phase. We're just going to push this over a week.
Yeah.
And then pick it up then. And like, now I can tell myself like, oh, it's fine. Your brain will be back to normal next week.
Yeah.
But before I wasn't putting those things together. And so it was just, I mean, our thoughts are so powerful. And like, it just was, I was like a mess all the time. I felt like that. And then I mastered the time blocking too. Like both of those in tandem have been so like key in keeping things like really manageable, because it is a lot. Like all the stuff we do at home with the kids, with the homeschooling, with work, it's too much. Like it's nobody else is doing that because nobody else is crazy. Like, you know?
Yeah. How do you block that time period then? Because I think like we're so used to, maybe, I don't know if it's us or women in general, like we're so used to just, well, it has to get done. Let's just power through, as I'm grouchy. And my kids are like, Mom, why are you so sad to be home today? And I'm like, I'm not, I'm just doing stuff. I'm busy. But like, what does that look like for you? Do you like stop school?
I'm still like again, like I don't have it like down pat with the cycle and the blocking, but like on a daily basis, I mean, with the cycle syncing, it's just like, is it the end of the world if you cancel your whole day?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have like in-person client, like there's some things you can't.
Right. Yeah.
Right. This is why I do everything online.
Yeah.
So I can just cancel it when I need to. But, yeah. And you just have to like give yourself permission to do that and not think that everyone's going to hate you if you.
And not have the guilt. Like I'll be sitting on my couch because I don't want to do anything all day. And the entire day I spend beating myself up, where if I would just tell myself like, hey, it's okay to sit on the couch today. You won't want to sit on the couch in 2 days. You're going to deep clean the house. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like if you're not honoring that on a small scale when you need to, that's why you have the days that you like can't do anything. Like where you just like, because you haven't taken the break.
Yeah.
And so your body then forces you to do it. So I used to have days like that, multiple days like that, 2 or 3 days where like, crap, we didn't homeschool. We watched TV all day and it sucked. Like it was not a good place to be in. But now, and this is also, I'm 4 years postpartum versus 2 years postpartum. Like there's a big difference.
Which is a huge deal. Because I thought 2 years. It's like, 2 years, I'm back. It wasn't until now that we are about to hit 4. I'm like, I'm actually back.
Yes.
So I think that 2 year thing is a myth.
Oh,
I feel different from like being 6 months off of stopping nursing.
Yeah.
Like it's my drug.
I'm laughing because I knew exactly where you were going with this.
Yeah. Like 6 months off nursing. And like we had a trip together. We went to Dallas,
yeah.
And together. And like after that trip, like I was like, I'm a flamingo. I got my pink back. Like I feel like myself again. And I don't know what it was, but it like, I would imagine that as more time goes past, I'm like, I'm even more like myself.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Compounds. Plus you got some time to like do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like we got to like sit in a hotel and binge watch the Housewives. What is it? Mormon Housewives, guilt-free, judging them the whole time.
I was thinking that while I was packing. That was my packing show. I like had my phone up and I put my headphones on. I was like, oh my God. And I have to tell you, this is so funny. We have like a soda place here like that. Like
really?
Like where you just get sodas. I do not drink soda, but I went and got the mom talk drink because I was like, I just want to try this. That was this weekend actually. Isn't that so funny?
You know, it's totally fine to just like pack yourself with high fructose corn syrup and all sorts of trash, but don't drink alcohol
or coffee.
And definitely twerk on your camera, but we're followers of whatever they do. I don't know.
I know.
It's
that show is
so hypocritical, the whole thing. But
so
we watched it all. So we watched it all.
What's scary is there's children. We had a whole we didn't post that. Did we have to scrap it or something? But we did a whole podcast where we just commented on it because there are like 20-year-olds that are messaging them like, hey, I just got married. Like I'm having this problem. And I'm like, why are you going to these women for your marital advice? Are you nuts?
You're asking those bitches for marriage advice?
Yeah.
And they all go to someone divorced by the end too.
They're all divorced and they're going to Chip and Dale show. Like they clearly, none of them have a happy marriage. They just
have gray hair. Like that's it.
Yeah, gray hair.
And it's all extensions, so it doesn't count.
It's all fake anyways.
Yeah.
I know. We need to record that episode. That would be great.
But let's talk a little bit more about time blocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Help.
Because I swear by it. And all it does, I mean, all it's doing is it's just guiding you through your day. Because if you had no plan and you just like woke up, and you should have days like this too. You don't have to time block every day for the end of time. But like I will time block my Monday through Friday. Like I imagine on Saturday when I wake up and my husband's home and I'm not trying to get anywhere or do anything at a certain time, you blink and then you look at the clock and it's like 2:00 and you're like, what has happened to my day? With a business or not a business, homeschooling or not, that's going to happen. So the time blocking really helps with just guiding you through your day. And so the main blocks that I do, I have my morning routine is like my me time, my workout and reading, whatever I need to do, journaling. I don't have a great morning routine right now, but it always has my workout in there. My morning routine, breakfast is in there too, like getting dressed. I have work blocks that I schedule. I have homeschool blocks. And then we have I call it our lunch break. And then once dinner comes, I'm not blocking. I'm just doing the typical, like, okay, we're doing dinner, bedtime, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I literally every day will plan, okay, when am I going to have my focused work blocks? How am I going to fit that in? Right now I do one from I'm still not in a good groove from moving. Like
You've only been there a month. That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. But I had a better routine in the morning going on. Now I'm still trying to feel out like where I put my work block. Cause now I walk the dog, which is great because I'm walking more, but that was like when I would work was when my husband was walking the dog. So we've kind of switched up our morning roles a little bit. But I try to get a work block in like from 7 to maybe like 8:30 in the morning. At that point, my kids are all like waking up. And once they're all awake is kind of when I'm like, okay, we're going to close this out. And now we'll do our breakfast and stuff like that. And then it's like focused kid time. So like we do a homeschool chunk before lunch, and then we take a lunch break, and then we do a homeschool chunk after lunch. And then hopefully I'm able to come in and like wrap up loose ends with work and stuff. But sometimes that doesn't happen. And that's okay. I've made my business small enough that I could take a whole week off and it wouldn't really mess anything up, you know?
Yeah. 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 I hear you. With your time blocking that you do, how specific is your work block? Or do you just have like a general time and then you have like a separate, like, hey, I need to respond to these emails. Or do you like time block like, hey, for the first 15 minutes of my day, I respond to emails and then I stop it. And then for the next 15 minutes, I update the website or whatever it is. Like so how specific
the time blocking is like one piece.
Right.
I also am doing like, so it's the time blocking in conjunction with goal setting. And I do goals in like 90-day increments. So at the top of the 90 days, the top of the quarter, I'm planning out like my goals. And then at the top of the month, I'm breaking those goals down into what needs to get done this month. Mm-hmm. And then at the top of the week, I'm saying, what are the actions I need to take this week to hit those goals? And what's all the stuff that's just happening this week in life? Because I don't just run a business, right? So at that top of the week, I am looking at my goals and saying, okay, how am I going to make progress on my goals this week? And what are just the things that have to get done? Because you better believe like answering emails is nothing to do with my goals, right? Like, but it has to get done. I'm actually the worst with emails, but anything like that.
Relate. Yeah.
And so that's at the top of the week. It's okay. Here's everything that I would love to get done this week on one giant list. I brain dump it. And then every day I block my day and I'll look at that list and say like, okay, what are the things I think I can accomplish today? And I'll write down like the 3 or 4 for just today. And I do it with the time. So it depends. If we don't have a lot going on, I can fub that time. But in the perfect world, it would just be when the time block is up, I just stop and then I pick that back up the next time I go to my block. Yeah. Some things you have to do to completion. Sometimes it's just nice to extend it out 10 more minutes. And I do that too. But the downs, you get like focused in on something and you're working on it. And then all of a sudden the next block is like halfway done. And that always made me feel worse. Like I felt like, oh, I'm behind for the day. Yeah. Like, how am I ever going to finish what I wanted to do today? And of course, I mean, that still happens, but that happens less when it's work just is contained. And I literally put blocks on my schedule. It's like an hourly planner. Mm-hmm. Work is contained within here. So like whatever gets done, it's going to be picked up down at this other work block. And it just helps me to not have that happen where all of a sudden the day kind of got away from me.
Yeah. Also, it leaves you room for grace too. Of like, or even when you're talking about like the cycle syncing of like, okay, if you know you're in your luteal phase, maybe those blocks are shorter or maybe they're just not there at all. And you're just like, I know I'm going to be a productive person next week. Yeah. I know it. Cause you can look at your history like, oh yeah, like actually I can like turn on some, 2000s music and power clean my entire house into where I can get that reset. But like right now, that's not what's happening. And I need to just sit here and scroll on the computer and get some like menial things done,
Yeah. Yeah. So it's so important. I say this a lot too, like collect evidence of it working. Like think that it does work when I do this, or it's not the end of the world if this happens, and like collect that and bank it as evidence. Cause your brain will like love to tell you stories, and we love to like blow it out of proportion, or I do. And it's just not always true. So like collecting evidence of like, okay, just like you said, we can get the house cleaned in 45 minutes or 20 minutes, or a lot can actually, The dishwasher actually only takes 3 minutes to unload. So why am I procrastinating it for 20 minutes? And I could have
seriously,
you know?
Yeah.
But collecting that evidence is so good. And then like, you really can't do everything. You can't. Like, there's no way I could have all those birds, or like, you have a bunch of chickens, don't you? Yeah. Yes. Like, I would love to have the chicken coop, but that's not it right now. Like, I can do the sourdough, and that's about it. And the other homemaking stuff is just not going to happen right now. Maybe it'll happen later. So like, just being like realistic, like, you don't have to do all the things. Or like, I don't know if you guys are like this. I get like, it's like entrepreneurial brain, but like to a fault, where you're like, I could monetize this.
Yes.
You know?
I know exactly. Yep.
Have to monetize everything, you know?
Yeah, it's like with
Any
Irene's
craft.
crocheting. She's like a really amazing crocheter and like can make pretty much anything. And I'm
But
like,
the second it becomes a business, I'm like, I will never pick up a hook
you could make tutorials
again.
on how to make things. You could
I will
sell
never do it.
patterns. And she's like, I don't want to. Just let me have fun. And I'm like, you're right. I'm trying to like, it's a entrepreneurial hack, or like a hat I can't take off.
Yeah.
Of like, how can we all make money? How can we all like, how can we build a business? How can we all retire on a compound like in like a year? Like that's, you know, that's, I can totally relate to
and
that.
it served us well. It's a great superpower to have.
Yeah.
It is, but
sometimes you have
sometimes I
to-
hate it. Sometimes I like, and this is just showing my like, you know, vulnerability. Like I've had so many people be like, oh, so you're just a stay-at-home mom? And I'm like, well, even if I was just a stay-at-home mom, which it sounds insulting when you say it like that, I'm like, this house takes a lot more energy than my business does for me.
Yeah.
Like maintaining, like we're all like ADD in our household, and it's messy all of the time. Like we don't know, like it's a habit we're trying to correct of like, we don't put stuff away as we should. Like it's just the surfaces always have something on it unless we like be adults. But like, I'm like, even if I was just a stay-at-home mom, it's like there's so much to the business that people just don't understand. Of like managing your household is basically running a business, and then having chickens or whatever your side thing is, like trying to cook your meals from scratch, whatever it is. I'm like, it's all very hard, and it makes me want to punch you in the face when you say just.
I think most people have never, anyone who says that has never done it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've done it all. I have been a working mom, working outside of the home. I've been just a stay-at-home mom where I didn't have a business. And I've been a stay-at-home mom who runs a business, and none of it is easy. But when I was the mom working outside the home, I thought everyone else had it easier. Because I was like, I'm doing both. Like I'm doing both things right now. I was a single mom at that time too. So I really was kind of doing a lot more maybe than, you know, but I would not like, I never want to work outside the home ever again. I would never, ever do that. Once you figure out that you can make money from home doing almost anything, like you said, you just can fire off all these ideas. It's like, why would you? I would never go back. I mean, thankfully my husband's, you know, brings home the bacon more than me. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So I have that flexibility. I don't have to hit a certain goal or the bills don't get paid, you know? And so that's a nice place to be at, because that lowers my stress level. I put it on myself still. I'm like, I got to do better than last year. I got to improve. I need to grow. But you know,
well, let's go to,
oh, sorry.
We'll jump back to kind of what we were talking about earlier with the content creation and entrepreneurialism. It's like do you plan, like if you get all these ideas, like when I'm ovulating, I'm like, I can make this video, and I'll write it all down. And by the time I get to where I'm like, okay, I can film these, my cycle switches and I'm like, I will never film again. Do you bank ideas and then like push them over to the next, like, how do you, what's your planning process?
Hate batching. I hate it. That's like, that's like what business owners are supposed to do, right? You're supposed to batch and you're supposed to like, I don't have long enough work blocks to batch. Like I can't record 3 or 4 podcast episodes in one sitting. I can't, you know, like it's just, I am just taking literally one step at a time. Like I'm literally just doing the next thing that needs to be done. I may batch reels because you can sit there and talk for like 10 minutes and then that can be like a handful of reels. I may do that, but I have done that, gotten into bad cycles like that too, where you have these great ideas and then if you don't act on it right then or like the next day, it doesn't happen. It's gone. Yep. Energy level is gone. The idea is gone. You forgot it. If you didn't write it down perfectly or like, you're like, what was I even going to say here? I don't even know what this note means.
Yeah.
This is why I get dressed every day.
Okay.
So I can just do it.
Like if you have the idea, you don't have to think, oh, now I got to go put on makeup. I got to find my camera.
Like one less barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have to like maybe have the kid, be done with some of these other things or whatever. For the most part, my afternoon work block is the time that I would record something.
Yeah.
Because I was doing that too. Like, oh, I got to get fully dressed. And like, it doesn't take me that long to just get dressed in the morning. And then I feel really good. And like, I feel ready to like accomplish things. And I also don't get dressed in the morning. It's like 11 o'clock noon when I get dressed for the day.
Yeah.
And I used to beat myself up over that. Like, why can't we just get to this part sooner? Mm-hmm. Like, why does it matter? It doesn't matter,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you think that is? Why is it that like, I think women in particular are so hard on themselves for like, oh, everybody else gets up and gets dressed in the morning. Like, or everybody else seems to be doing content all the time and doesn't just seem to be struck. Like, what is that? And like, how can our listeners like overcome, like, even like, I do think though, like, yes, cycle syncing to your best of your ability, but also sometimes like you just have to do the hard thing and just like chunk on through. And then you'll be really proud of yourself and you'll get that like dopamine hit of like, oh, even though I didn't want to, I did it.
Yeah.
So like, what is that, and how do we help our listeners like harness that? Because like we have the whole scope, but we have working moms, full-time stay-at-home moms, like even just to how do they win the day?
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke and say like the reason you feel like you have to like get up and like do the thing first, that's public school's fault. Like, come on. Right?
Yeah.
We've been so conditioned. Even my husband every once in a while, because I let the kids sleep until they wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the real world, you can't do that. I'm like, what is the real world, babe?
Yeah.
What if she wants to be a stay-at-home mom? Like, you don't have to get up and, well, you have to get up and take care of your kids. Like the real world will teach you that. But like right now, the real world for them is they can sleep until whenever they want to sleep, So anyways,
let their body like tell them for now, like that's how much their body needs to sleep now.
Yes.
And teaching them like to intuitively listen to their body of like, I need more rest, instead of like our current generation. It's like hustle and grind, 4-hour work week, no sleep. I sleep 4 hours a night.
Not listening to your body. So I was working with like she's not a naturopath, but I was working with someone on my minerals and all that stuff. She's a natural practitioner. And she was kind of counseling me on some things. And she was saying like, you don't know how to listen to your body. And she's like, you need to listen to your body and honor kind of what your body needs because you've been suppressing it for so long. And then that got me thinking like I don't know if you guys do this. How often do you have to pee so bad? And you're just like, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all these things first until you're like bursting. So not listening to your body. So now your body doesn't trust that like you will respond to the signal unless it's an emergency and like all the health issues that causes. So that's just like one example that I was like, wow, I really I'm not listening to my body.
Well, it seems like when you have to pee a little, it's like that seems so not
I
important
don't get
in
it.
the matter.
Just go pee. I have never had that problem.
Just go pee when you need to.
Right? Yeah. Like I have things to do. That's wasting my time.
Yeah.
That's the working woman in you.
Oh,
being in the chair. Well, that was me too. Teaching. You can't just go pee whenever you need to go pee.
Well, then I heard some statistic a couple years ago that made me be conscious about it that said a lot of older stylists end up with bladder cancer because you're in and out of chemicals. You're not peeing when you have to. You're not drinking enough water. And then all those chemicals just hold on to your liver. I was like, oh, so then I try to be conscious about it now. But I would go like an 8-hour day without peeing because I'm like, I'll just pee later. It's fine. It's crazy.
That's no good. That's
But like, and
then you're not drinking water. You're like, I can't drink water.
Yep.
Because it'll make me have to pee more.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But what a gift you're giving your kids, though, that like to tell, like, yeah, okay, you're sleepy. Like, that's great. Like, go sleep more.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot, like I do it all the time. Like, oh, I need to get up before Leo so that I have my block of time where I can do whatever I need to do, my business stuff, my home stuff without her being awake. Just kind of like, you guys know, like me time.
Yeah.
And then like, I have to get up, like, but my body is screaming that it needs more rest. Yeah. So, lay the frick down. And that's like, it's kind of, I don't know who I heard it from, but I'm sure you've heard it, that like, do you know who Procter & Gamble is?
I wish I didn't.
They're the owners of Pampers and Loves. They help fund the murder and mutilation of children. Did you know that?
Which is bizarre for someone who claims to care about your child's rear end.
Not to mention that, but also their stuff is filled with harsh chemicals, endocrine disruptors, carcinogens, like in the diaper, on your kids' most sensitive parts. It tells you exactly who they are and that they actually don't care about your kid. They care about getting your money for their product. I have made the switch and I have not looked back once.
Good.
It's with Every Life. They are a non-toxic diaper company, but they auto ship to your door, and we have a code with them now because I use their product like we always do, guys. We use the product first, and then we're like, we reach out. We're like, guys, we want to talk about you on the podcast because we think our listeners would actually really benefit from this information. So, or this product. So, anywho, but yeah, we have a code with them.
Woohoo! Code UTSP10.
Yeah, and you get 10% off your purchase, which I don't think you'll regret at all. It's non-toxic, super soft, really like, it feels like a nice quality. And it doesn't feel like plastic, if that makes sense.
And they don't support murder. They don't support murder.
Okay, UTSP10, bye. You can have everything you want in life. You just can't have it all at once.
Yes.
And so it's like, we can build this podcast, but like our listeners know, like we are literally doing the best we can with what we have right now.
Yeah.
And that is all we can do. And we're actually doing pretty well at it by doing it kind of, half-assed, but someday it'll be different.
It's working. Like it's working. Yeah. Like I think of that. I procrastinate things. I'm like, why would I fix my procrastination habit when it works so well? Like I have no problem.
The anxiety is fueling.
That part. Well, but then I can like talk myself down. Like it's fine. You're great at things at the last minute. You don't need to be anxious about it.
Yeah.
But I want to go back, Aaliyah, to something you said before. Like it's such a fine line, listening to your body, relaxing when it needs to be relaxed, and like getting ish done.
Yeah.
And it's so, I don't have that problem because the way that I'm like wired, like I actually just need to rest when I need to rest. Otherwise I won't, like the Enneagram 3 and the perfectionist and the type A and the ambitious go-getter, all that stuff. But it really is a fine line because you can also fall into this like victim mentality of like, well, I need more rest because I'm a woman, because I'm postpartum, because I'm home with the kids, because, and it's like, you control your life. And that was another like big thing, that mindset shift that really changed things for me was like, if you don't like something, change it. Like if you don't like that your kids are interrupting you while you're podcasting, let's problem solve some solutions here. Like what can we do? And I mean, that is not something that comes natural to me, but it sure does my husband. And that's something that he really like taught me, like, well, you're complaining about this thing. Yeah. Let's like solve the problem. Men are problem solvers, like caveman of them. And that's something that I'm really practicing too. Like even just yesterday, my oldest daughter and I were trying to do something and the kids were interrupting, and I was getting frustrated for her. And I was like, I don't know when we're going to do this. And then like, I went outside and took a walk with the little kids, and she was in here, and I was like, oh, we just need to solve this problem. Like what, like, here are some solutions. And I like came back and told her, but I used to sit in like the victimness for like a long, like sit there forever until, and I thought like someone else would like fix something for me. Like maybe if I complain about something enough, someone will help me out. Like, can't everyone see that I just need some help here? Like that this is just too much. And I really had to be like, okay, no, nobody knows what's too much for you when you just power through and just like do it all. So like, how can we problem solve and like take control of the things that we can control? It's so hard because there's so much you can't, that it's easy to just say you can't control any of it when there are a lot of things that you can handle and change for yourself.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite sayings that like some people say it's harsh, but like I find it very helpful is that nobody is coming to save you.
Yeah.
Like nobody's coming to force you to edit that podcast every single week, even when you don't want to. Mm-hmm. Nobody is going to come like make sure that you, I don't know, take a shower or like wash your hair and like all the things.
Well, I will make you do that, but
yeah. See, you guys' your pee thing is my shower thing. Yeah. I hate taking a shower. I hate it. I have so much hair. My body is so tall. Like it's just there's so much to do. So that's my thing. But like nobody's coming to save you. Like if it's something you like, what is it that if you whatever you don't change, you're agreeing to. Mm-hmm. So like, okay, like this is just, like, oh, we've always just had a cluttered house. Well, like in order, like the reason time blocking is working for me right now is that like I got rid of over like half of our kitchen stuff, and I'll probably keep going because like and I don't think it's a forever thing, but in this season, like I cannot be bothered to be spending an hour and a half finishing it because we don't have a dishwasher. It is me, my hands. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I have time to wash the 3 dishes, the three bowls, 3 spoons, 3 forks, because like I want to build other things so that like someday this all could be running in the background while I'm like fully present, hanging out with my friend on our compound. Like that's the goal, raising our kids together. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that, but
well, then there's that. I was thinking about it actually my husband said it to me last summer when I was overwhelmed because I love my job. Like I can't imagine ever not doing it. So it would be different if I hated my career. Like she hated
I
working.
hated my job.
And so it was like, it's hard because I equally love everything, but I had 7-day access to this place I was spending rent on. I was like, well, I'm paying rent and somebody really needs in, I'll open up a Tuesday. And then that left the kids, well, I thought it's a Tuesday. It's not a mommy work day. And then they were upset. And then I'm upset because they're upset. But then I have clients waiting for me, so I have to go. And then as I'm super stressed, my husband looked at me. He said, hey, nothing changes. And like nothing changes if nothing changes. And then now I think about that. If I'm really frustrated, I'm like, well, this isn't going to change unless I change it. So now I work at a place where I'm splitting a chair with someone. I literally can't work anymore because her client's butts are in my client's butts chair. So it's great because then but you have to just change it, which is so, I think when you're in that rut and in that like, ugh, everything sucks, I suck. It's like, it's really hard to get that motivation to change it. But sometimes you just have to that's when you take a deep breath and muscle through. It's like, okay, well, something's got to change before I lose it.
Yeah.
And understanding that like, it's hard. Like it's hard. I say this all the time too. Like, if it was easy, then everyone would be working part-time and being a full-time stay-at-home mom. Like everyone would be doing that. No moms would go to work if that was the easy way to do things. So like being okay with it being hard and being like, okay, but we're going to do it anyways. Because honestly, like if I wasn't working, like that's the biggest stressor, right? Is getting the work stuff done and I have to do all that. If that wasn't there, like what would be there is some sort of, I wouldn't be cleaning the house more. Why would I do that? Like, I wouldn't want to be like doing more laundry. I would probably have some like hobby that I'm not getting paid for.
Yeah.
So like, why not get
that space is going to be filled anyways, is basically what you're saying, right? Yeah. So like you might as well, that's a good idea. That's a good point. Is that, I like that. Cause like I have had the thought of like, oh, I could do just the stay-at-home mom thing. Like there's no one telling me that I have to like build a podcast. There's no one telling me that I have to like have a side business. But like a little bit of culture is like, you have to have a side hustle and you have to hustle and grind. I'm like unwiring that, but like I want to build a thing with my friend. Yeah. I want friend/sister-in-law, and like that's what I want to do. And I want our girls to see us doing the thing we want. And they're like, and someday they won't appreciate it for a long time, but someday they're going to look back and be like, dang, our moms like built this thing when we were little rugrats, interrupting them every 10 minutes. And like, it's really for them and it's for the greater good of the family, but it does get, man, the to-do list gets long. But what's like what's the number one like time blocking, I don't know, thing that helps you?
The key is to set aside the time to like revisit this. Like it's not Like you have to practice it and setting aside the time to, at the top of the week, have a plan of like where you're going, because the worst thing you could do is, okay, I have this block of time. I've got 2 hours during nap time. And then you come sit down at the computer and you're like, okay, what do I do? And you're like, oh, okay, let me just check my emails and blah, blah. And so you're working, you're doing something, but you're not looking to your goals and like seeing what tasks are really the most important tasks. So you're not utilizing your time the most effectively. And then what's going to happen is, you know, in a year from now, or you're going to be like, man, my podcast isn't really going where I thought it was going to go, because you didn't have anything guiding you and you kind of didn't use your time effectively. So that's the key, is like having the goals and your blocks, and you're setting your blocks in your weekly schedule in accordance to those goals. Otherwise you're going to get burnout in your business, because you're going to be like, what is my business doing? Like, why am I doing this? You know, there's going to be more thoughts. That happens anyways, but more of those if you're not actually like making progress and moving the needle. So the goal setting and revisiting at the top of the month and the top of the week in conjunction with those time blocks.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Having a big why, like, or just even knowing your why. I think a lot of people don't even know, like, why am I making sourdough? Like, why? Like, yeah, it's good, but like, oh, it's actually, I'm doing it because it's good for us. That's why I'm taking the extra time, you know? Like, it doesn't always sourdough. Not really like sourdough.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that when you're in the shuffle of the daily everything.
Yeah. When I was in my previous job that I absolutely loathed, they did put me through like everybody on the team, like through a course, which was wonderful. And I can't remember who did it. It's not Michael Hyatt. It's the Story Brand guy. What's his name?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Donald Miller. Yeah. Got it. He had I can't remember what the course is. I'll put it in the description if I can find it. But it's basically like you do your 1 year, 10-year, 5-year plan. And it's like he has you start by writing your obituary yourself. And it's very dark.
And work backwards.
Start at the end and you have to work backwards. He's like, that's how you get the life you want. Okay. You want a $3 million home, or you want a ranch in Wyoming? Okay. You think you can get that in 5 years? Great. What has to happen in 4 years? Like work backwards. And it changed my whole perspective. And like my obituary is like, she was so kind and gentle and soft spoken. And I'm like, I am a brute. Who do I think I am? Like, I'm loud and obnoxious. I'll probably never be that like soft grandma like person. But it's also a good exercise to just like, okay, in 5 years, best case scenario, if I got everything I wanted, what do I want to be in 5 years? What do I want my family to look like? And then work backwards, because it can, and then break it down into those blocks. Okay. Then in a year, then let's break it down to the months and then the week. And you just have to be intentional. It's hard, but we can do hard things.
Yeah. I love that. I never thought of it that. So when I help like moms, sometimes I'll do like business coaching for moms, right? They want to launch a business, and I will like make a plan, and you start at the end. That's what I teach them. Like you start at what you want your offer to be, so that you can work backwards and know you're basically taking your leads on a journey to your offer, right? Like, wow, I never thought of that in terms of your whole life.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
It was a really great course. Honestly, his whole, it's like he has a whole platform of like pre-recorded things, and it's amazing. He has a lot of great resources. But yeah, is there anything else you want to cover? We got to let her go so she can be with her kids.
I think that was all of it.
Is there anything you want to cover? Did we not cover anything that you wanted to?
I think this
can people work with you?
Yeah, your course is for moms. What does that look like? Are you open to new people?
So here's my offerings right now. So this year, speaking of goal setting, I don't want to learn anything new. I don't want to launch anything new.
I relate so hard.
I understand that so much.
I'm not even going to like listen to podcasts this year. Like I listen to a lot of like business podcasts and like growth and development. I'm not going to listen. I have a fiction goal, like fiction books. Like that's what I'm going to have in my earbuds. Yeah. I would just really want to hone in on like what I have on my plate right now. So my main thing is for the pregnant moms who are giving birth in the hospital, so that they can do it their way. And that's the Unmedicated Girlies everywhere. That's the podcast, the website, the Instagram. And then I also have a program, or it's actually not a program. It's not a program. This is my downfall. I'm like, I used to be a teacher. I can teach you. I can make the curriculum. And you don't always have to do all that. But I have a membership for moms who are moms like us who run their businesses alongside their motherhood. And they have small businesses so they can have a big motherhood. And so it is conversations just like this. And the biggest benefit is, you know, that like you can overthink something in your business so hard to the point of paralysis. And this community can prevent that because you have someone to sit there and be like, this is what I think and blah, blah, blah. And I want to do this and I want to do this. And we can really like rein it in and hone in on like one thing and like action steps. So that's called the Ambitious Mom. And I just started it. That's my new offer for this year, that I'm not doing anything else new. So those are kind of the two things that I offer right now.
Yeah.
We were talking about New Year's stuff too, of this is with editing stuff. Like my brother has been wanting me to switch to a new program called DaVinci Resolve, and I've been using Premiere Pro for as long as I've been an editor. And I'm like, I appreciate that it's probably a way better program. I cannot learn anything new.
No.
And like, I'm trying to like rein back. Like, I'm a podcast addict. I would say I have a problem because I like it, but it's a form of like, have you heard of like body doubling?
Okay. Yeah.
Where,
I've heard of this. Yes.
So like, in order for me to get something done, like I can't just do it in silence. I have to like, I need to listen to a podcast. I need to listen to someone talking to me like I'm having a friendship conversation and I'm just doing a thing.
Yeah.
And so like, so it's great that he wants me, like he's like, yeah, do DaVinci Resolve. And I'm like, yeah, someday. I am not in that season. Yeah. I'm trying to drastically be ambitious. Like I need to just like steward the things that God has appointed to me to right now. Podcast, motherhood, farm, anything else.
This must be the year, because there's a lot of people, a lot like us, that I've heard that this year my goal is to work less. Just to do less things.
Well, because I think we've been all running on cortisol and having that like, I'm a boss babe, like deep in our, like it's been ingrained in kind of this generation. And I think we're all just like really tired and burnt out, and we're all seeing it because all of our adrenals are shot. We're all on supplements to fix our adrenals. Yeah. So like
we're all mineral depleted.
Yeah. We're just trying to like, I just want to like, I want to just like love my family well and love my extended family and friends well. Yeah. Instead of being like, I can't hang out with you. I have things to edit. And it's like, okay, well. Yeah.
But also we still have to do those things. So
yeah, we'll do those things. But like, I also want to hang out with friends and do like play a game of slaps.
Also don't need like bigger and fancier ways to do the thing you're already doing perfectly fine. Like you are editing the podcast just fine. You know?
Yeah. And like, it's funny because you talk about like, I think we all have like perfectionist minds of like, yes, I would love for this podcast to be like amazingly edited, like color graded, that I took like 5 hours to do. And it was beautiful and cinematic and, you know, like multi-camera shots where we actually like flew you in and had a conversation. That would be amazing. That's just not happening right now. And I have to like give myself grace that like, you know, actually maybe it's good for the moms listening to this to be like, just do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, why do you want it to be like that? Just because you saw someone else being like that and like, that's super cool. But like there are lots of someone's watching this right now thinking like, that's super cool. You know?
It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting how like, what is the saying? Like more isn't always more. So like, even though I want it and I like the cinematic, I'm like, you know, I'm an editor and kind of a producer by heart. Like, and I see those color things and when sets look beautiful, but like, that doesn't mean that, like, I think we just have a different niche. We have like a rambly, tangent filled, educational, connection filled podcast. And that's just what it is right now. Doesn't mean that someday we won't have like a, I don't know, deep dive into chemtrails or something. I don't know, you know, but it's just, just do the best you can with what you got. Yeah. Lizzy, it's so good talking to you.
We're so glad you're back.
That was great. Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to part with?
I think we did great.
Okay.
Good. Do you want us to post your links in the description or do you want to relax this year?
No,
because we will do whatever you want us to do.
What are you talking about? Just for those things.
She has goals.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lizzy, so much for being with us today. You guys can go in the description and get all the links to the things we talked about today, including the color analysis and the whatever that guy about the writing your obituary. You're going to love it all. So thanks for being here. We will see you next Wednesday.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
This content is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice.
Please do your own research and find a trusted medical professional for personalized guidance and advice.
We are not responsible for your decisions based on the information you hear on this podcast.
Bye.
Bye.